Hi, and welcome to Brookdale Newsmakers, your source for what's happening on our campus and in your community. I'm Mike Olcsvay. Joining us today is Ed O'Neill, professor for the Brookdale Architecture program. Thanks for joining us today, Ed.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, Ed, could you please explain to us how the Brookdale Architecture program prepares the students for furthering their education?
Well, in the practice of architecture, which is a licensed profession, you have to have a minimum of 5 years of education at the baccalaureate level. And what Brookdale does as a transfer program is prepare you for the first 2 years and eventual transfer into the third year of a 5-year program anywhere throughout the country.
Okay. The program started in 1990, and you were there at the beginning of the program, correct?
Yes, my hiring in 1990 was kind of the culmination of the state deciding to have an associate degree program at Brookdale.
How have you seen the program grow since 1990?
It's actually been, the growth has been rather phenomenal. We started out with, we were in one room and probably had maybe 100 CSHs per faculty member, and now we're up to over 600. So I think it's grown 5 to 6 times over the 20 years period. We are the largest associate degree program in the state of New Jersey.
Okay. Now there's 2 different sequences in the program, correct? There's a technical and a studio sequence?
Well, they're not really sequences in that it's all one path. Mm-hmm. However, in the study of architecture, it's rather unique educational situation because you have technical courses and you have artistic courses, and they're blended together. I always tell students it's somewhat schizophrenic because one must go into a class where we're talking about abstract design theory and then turn around and take physics. And so what happens is the technical courses and the studio courses run concurrently, but they are very different educational processes, and a studio environment and a classroom environment are very different. But we try to meld them together as best we can.
The studio sequences go into more of the mathematics behind everything, and the technical sequences go into the mathematics behind everything, and the studio sequences more put that all together and they actually make projects?
Right, so if you're designing a building, which is obviously the culmination of your work here, and you're designing a building and you want to know whether the roof's going to stand up and not fall down and wipe everybody out inside, you have to do the mathematics to figure out the structural components.
Yeah.
And that's what an architect does, and that's what sets an architect apart from other designers, is that they have to deal with things like building codes, and they have to deal with things like structural variations, and that's all about numbers.
So they not only have to be creative, but they also have to follow the rules and make sure the buildings are safe.
Yes, and that's what makes it a very challenging educational process to become involved in.
How many courses is the program made up of?
10.
10 courses. Okay. Could you go through just very quickly the jury process and capstone projects, what those are?
Sure. The key to any architectural education is the design studio. And in the design studio is where all of the different things you're learning in all of the other courses come together. And when you do a project, you're expected to be able to take all that information that you're learning in construction, technology class, and color theory class, and put them all into one project. And in the studio, that's where it happens. And the studio is very different. Most of the studio is a conversation like we're having now with individuals, one-on-one interaction. And that's one of the selling points we always have at Brookdale, is because we have a smaller program, we have more time for this one-on-one interaction. But when you're done with the project, what do you present? And what you do is you would normally present to a jury or a group of professionals. It might be 4 or 5 professionals. And those professionals will then receive information, you'll argue your points, you'll present your project, they will give constructive criticism, and that's the jury process. And a lot of people find it very daunting, but it is the way it's done, and really that's the way you present your projects in real life.
And the capstone project is the culmination of everything that the student has learned in the 2 years.
Correct. So, for instance, the architecture students now are doing their capstone project. They will culminate that project in a presentation in May in the CVA Gallery. I believe it's May 13th. And it's an open jury, and it's an open audience. And so there might be 50, 60 people there watching you present your project to them, arguing your case, showing your work, and really putting your best step forward.
Okay. Well, the architecture project seems like a great way for people to get a first step towards their full 5 years of their college degree. Our guest today was Ed O'Neill. Thank you for joining us on Brookdale Newsmakers. For more information, visit us at brookdalecc.edu. I'm Mike Olcsvay. See you next time here on Brookdale Newsmakers.